Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your man, Hunter Grand, your personal agent for change, making life easy, Barzini.
And I'm Fempreneur Extraordinaire and Tech Diva all day, Dre Renee.
And this is the Crossroads, where there's only one rule.
Be free to be you.
I'm all up.
I want to talk about my lack of freedom.
Am I being abusive or something?
I need to free myself. So, I was feeling so grand about myself today. My fro was froing and it looked fab. And then I realized I had to come put these dang headphones on. So I'm trying to give y'all the best I got. Except I'm being held back. So.
I feel like the fro still looks great.
Well, thank you.
I think it's like the headphones is just the accessory. Like, turn me up in the headphones.
Yeah, but it took work to get it to look like, I got something on, but still preserve.
I mean, if it helps, I'm wearing mine too. Hey, I can't get a hairstyle to
I was trying to be nice today.
Right.
Trying to be nice today.
Listen.
Hey, everybody.
What's going on, y'all? Y'all tap in if y'all watching. This live is brought to y'all tonight by the only thing that I had in there that didn't need a mixer.
That crown.
Listen, I didn't want no tequila. I got some Casamigos and Terramana in there and some other stuff. It's a lot of tequila in there, and I don't really even drink tequila like that.
I think I'm gonna do tequila this evening because it's Taco Tuesday, as you know.
Oh yeah.
I have some 1800 that's coconut flavored. It's interesting. I don't know if you have.
I've had the pomegranate, which is good. With pomegranate.
Yeah, I mean, now it's not a mixer, not the pre-made margarita, just the tequila.
Yeah,
you have okay.
Yeah,
no. I just want to make sure because I know they have both at a good old Costco.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I had some nights on that.
Oh, shoot.
But I do if I I don't really do like the flavory drinks too much, but if I do, I like some Malibu and pineapple.
Oh yeah. I grew up on that, when I first started drinking.
Wait a minute.
Go to the club. Can I go
now? Hold on. Wait, hold on. Like, I feel like that's a shot.
Oh, it wasn't, but I was just saying I haven't had it.
Hold up. Like, yeah, I remember when I first started drinking. That's like, first of all, I was there when you first started drinking.
Exactly. That's what I said. At the club, that was my go-to. My bad. I didn't know it was.
Shout out to Margarita Jones, because that's probably where you had it.
Yeah. Among other places. That sure was. Shout out to Margarita Jones.
Yeah, for all the LA folks, for all the USC alum, if you had not gone to a party at Margarita Jones, you did not party.
Man.
It just that was the
Those were the days.
Life was so much simpler. And it wasn't really too much. I mean, okay, it was some static a couple of times, but not really on a regular basis.
Definitely a couple.
Definitely a couple. I think you'll remember. I mean, look, it was still South Central, so let's not get it twisted.
But we made it, and we had fun.
Right, and then went to class.
Right.
Exactly. Well, you went to class.
I went to class. I went to class.
I ain't gonna.
I was gonna let it go. I was just gonna let it go.
It's it's crazy how many people. I think half of the Greek world, the West Coast Greek world, thinks that I went to SC, and then the other half thinks I went to Long Beach. And much to their surprise, I didn't go to either.
You know what?
I didn't go to either one of those.
One
like,
or two.
They was like, you was always up there, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I actually had to break because there's a third. It's the thirds because they thought I went to Dominguez as well.
Okay. Well, yeah, Dominguez and Long Beach, especially because the chapters were
right. Well, I mean, I lived across the street from Dominguez, so
yeah.
And then, but I did go to college, y'all. I do have degrees. I am educated.
That's all good. Look, education comes in many forms. And so if you have a degree, if you have multiple degrees, great. If you went to trade school and you're probably making more money than all of us, great. If for whatever reason you determined college wasn't for you and you know, made a living some other kind of way, great. You know, that's also the point of Crossroads. Like we're here, everybody's coming from different directions. It's all good.
I still make good money though. Like the trade to like more money than us. I'm like, hold on. First of all,
well,
I'm doing okay for.
I'm just saying, I know some people that are like plumbers making like, we know like a retired plumber. Like I don't work anymore. Because
wait, is he older than me?
I think so. I
don't know. But shout out to the Redway brothers.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not trying to be shady because yes, we do
I know
okay.
I know they
make. Saying,
I know they make bread. First of all, they got probably the dopest marketing strategy of any plumber I've ever seen.
Probably why they was able to.
So for those who are, I don't need to explain this to anybody in LA. For those who are outside of LA, it's one of them is a chef, but the rest are all. It's like a group of brothers. They're all plumbers, right? Good looking dudes, right? So they have their pictures on the outside of the van. So they drive around the city with headshots.
Yeah.
And then they do calendars. Like,
hey, need your drain snaked?
Listen.
Know who to call.
Yeah, they're coming through to clean your pipes. Now, take that however you want.
Indeed.
But yeah.
But just to say, like I said, education, experience, it comes many different ways. And so
and plumbing.
And plumbing. That's what it is. All right. Well, we've given y'all an opportunity to go on and come on in here and join us. Please also share and subscribe. I realize, and I don't want to assume. I think we say subscribe a lot and we do give directions, but just in case you saw us on Instagram or Facebook or something, we're not talking about, subscribing to our social media. We're talking about subscribing to our YouTube channel. So please, if you haven't done that, even if you follow us in any of the other places, we want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can help us reach our goal. But also you get alerted whenever we come on live, and we're going to be doing that a lot more. So we don't want you to miss anything.
And I ain't got to send my blasts out, because y'all already get the alert. But speaking of alert, let's alert them of these sponsors that we have.
Yes.
All right. So as always, y'all, the XrossroadZ Podcast is brought to you by the House of 334.
It's the house.
For all your business branding and copyright needs, go to houseof334.com. It is Black owned, it is woman owned, it is Black woman owned, and it is amazing. Also, the XrossroadZ Podcast is brought to you by The Crossroads. Y'all can still go to our bit.ly at bit.ly/The Crossroads. That's XrossroadZ. Everything that we do is on that. And if you want to donate to the show, we appreciate everybody that does, that continues to have this thing going. We appreciate a little, we appreciate a lot. However, your heart is moved to do it. But y'all, this is a labor of love, but love ain't free. And if you think it is, go tell your landlord that you love them. Also, as Dre just said, make sure that you scroll down right now since you're watching us on YouTube and subscribe to the show. Every subscription helps us even more than the donations do. So we're on a mission right now to get to the 500 mark. We're still working on that, but we are inching closer. So thank you for those who subscribed since the last time. But we want to keep it going. Make sure that you're sharing with friends. If you're enjoying the show, please share it so that we can have more reach, more opportunity, more engagement on the show, because that's what makes this go. Also, if you would like to be a sponsor on the podcast, you can send us an email at crossroadspodcast@gmail.com. Send us a message. We'll get back to you with our packages and opportunities to be a sponsor on the show.
Holla. Excellent. So I do want to do one shout out because I was able to see one of my Neos, Cam Miller, subscribed over the past week. A lot of you, I think, are private, like your YouTubes are set up as private. And so it doesn't show us your name, but we do see the numbers moving. So we want to let you know that we appreciate it. If you are public, we will shout you out. If you're watching us right now and you happen to subscribe, go ahead and drop it in the chat. We will give you the shout out here live on the show. That's how much it means to us. That's how much we want you to go ahead and subscribe. Also, if you have multiple accounts, there's nothing wrong with that. Hit the
Right.
subscribe from
On
all of the
all of them.
accounts. All of them.
All of them.
All of them.
So, and if you don't catch us live, when we do our lives, we have pre-recorded material, and our past lives are also posted. So make sure that you take advantage of all the previous content on there, the playlist and everything else. It's great content, great shows, great information, great engagement. So you kind of, know the history of the show and follow us along the journey. There's so much there that'll take you a while to catch up. So it'll always be fresh and new. And we keep creating new content as well. Also, don't forget to check out our shorts on the channel. So there's more content coming up in the shorts section on there as well. So you may not have time to check the whole show out at any given moment, but click on the shorts, get a little overview or a clip of some of the shows and some of the highlights, and you can also follow us there. So this chair make me seem like I got on shoulder pads behind me. I'm sitting here like
Funny.
I don't work on my traps. I'm like, I keep thinking like my shoulder.
Funny.
Like traps on deck.
There
So
you go.
what we got cracking this week? I know last week was a lot. We did back-to-back shows last week. We are actually working up to being able to do the show daily. Eventually we ain't there yet. So
I would love to just pop on and talk to y'all every day.
Listen,
and get a little change. That would
y'all get
make my day.
The more subscriptions we get, the closer we are to giving y'all, more consistent content. But right now we got other things that we have to tend to as well. we ain't ready to quit our jobs yet,
Not just yet.
But we getting there.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we can go ahead and hop into it. So like you said, last week, we had a couple of different topics that we went over. And, if you missed any of that, please make sure that you go back and watch last week's lives. But this week, one of the major stories that we came across was Jonah Hill and his ex-girlfriend shared some of their text messages, and really has caused a lot of conversation because she alleged him to be emotionally abusive. And she also called him a narcissist, I believe. I think it was misogynistic narcissist.
Like, get it right. Don't forget
right.
You're right.
Yeah. So yeah, that was what kicked it off. The text, if you were not familiar with, kind of the exchange, just to kind of bring you up to speed, Jonah was expressing, to her that he didn't want her to post pictures of herself on her social media in particular swimsuits. He called it a thong. She said it was a one piece, and it probably just depends on how you're wearing it. Some are actual thongs, and some, if you got a little too much booty in the pants, it might swallow up your seat. So either way, he didn't appreciate that, right? So that was one thing. He didn't want her to post pictures of her with other guys. And also she's like a surfer, right? And a surf instructor and enthusiast. So she would be putting up content on a surfboard or perhaps with other surfers in swimwear. You can imagine she probably had some endorsements, or maybe she was trying to get some. I don't know her from Adam. So those things I would be guessing about, right? But those are two things that stood out. But also he talked about her having friendships with women who are just, in a different place in their lives. One could assume, perhaps they were single and out and partying. Perhaps they're newly broken up and they're like, F all men, whatever it was he meant. He's like, hey, these group of people, not cool. But he framed it in a way as to say, these are my boundaries, right? These are the things that make me comfortable in a relationship and with a partner. And pretty much, if it doesn't work for you, Godspeed, What I realized today is that this didn't just happen. This, I'm getting ready for y'all, right? I'm reading. It was like they got together in August of 21, were together for a year. That would have been 2022. Here we are in July of 2023,
And now she's
and
posting them.
these texts get leaked. So, yeah, how do you feel about this particular story? I mean, and those of you who are watching, go ahead and start to drop your comments. We want to share them as
Like,
well. So she exposes the text and she says, he's emotionally abusive, allegedly.
okay, so I tied this all into last week's stuff, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we can't win for losing, and by we I mean men right now. So last week we were dealing with, oh boy, expressed how he felt, on social media, while Kiki is out very publicly, um, in a thong, which was an actual
Right.
thong,
Actual thong. Yeah.
you know, all hugged up and grinding on Usher and everything else. And there was more to that story that we didn't mention. It wasn't just the part where he was serenading her. She posted also on her story another part of the concert where Usher had a shirt. He wasn't with it, he was on stage and he had a shirt off.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a close-up on on his chest and stuff like that. And she's zooming in on it from her phone. And then she turns the phone on herself and is like, you know, and I, hey, but
I
no,
get it.
because so we're doing a lot. Because I defended the part where, hey, it's Usher and he's serenading her. She can't diss Usher, like they just in the whole little serenading moment, and it went further than that.
So when y'all look at like all these Instagram models and they all on your explore page and you click like on their pages, or even like some of your friends, like perhaps they got a little fitted situation on and you hit the like and your name is right there amongst the people, like, is that not the same as her looking at Usher from the stage with his
It can be,
pow
but I
pow
I,
pow?
I think that depends on the relationship, right? And I think everybody has a right to express what they like and don't like. Whether I agree with it or not is a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on its face, do I think it's a big deal liking pictures on social media? No, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so like, hey, I click like. That's me, but somebody might have a problem with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't tell somebody what they should and shouldn't have a problem with. Either they do or they don't. Now, y'all can work it out, compromise. You can convince them, whatever. But at the end of the day, that's their feelings.
Well, I was
And
just speaking to the fact where you said she was doing a lot. So I was like, is she
yeah,
doing a lot
I mean,
to
but again, it depends. It depends. To me, no, right?
okay.
I think it's one thing, even if she's doing it, right? It's one thing to be liking. Now, if you out there just excessively, and everybody's like, hey, you know, right?
I'm asking.
But it's different when it's you. You see what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
For me, okay, so like you're putting yourself on display, right? You the
Okay.
one got the thong out and everything else,
Okay. Okay.
right? So me liking a pic versus you, it wasn't just like you was zooming in on Usher. You was just singing on dude and doing 360s for him and ass out and you know, you see what I'm saying?
I
And
get it. I get it. I
I'm
get
I'm
it.
just,
I,
I'm just
I
saying.
I get it. I get it. I
But
think,
yeah,
I was back and forth on it because I felt like, and not to spend too much time on Kiki, but I think it does lend itself to this conversation with boundaries and rules and
uh-huh.
whatnot in relationship. I really took it as like she was taking that moment to really like be feeling herself in front of everybody. Like I didn't take that as a this is me spinning around for Usher moment. Like yes, it happened in front of Usher, but like I don't know if she knew he was going to come serenade her. Like he does that really anytime that there's a celebrity, but I can imagine there are multiple celebrities in the audience at any time. So I don't
Mhm.
know if it's already like, hey, Kiki, it's your turn, or she just got caught because she had that on whether or not he was coming to sing to her. That was gonna
And
be
she's
the
also a celebrity, whether or not he comes to sing with her. In that, it's not like she was gonna go unrecognized the whole night, whether he did
right,
that or
but that's
not.
what I'm saying. I felt like that was more of a public, everybody look at me after this baby moment, not like, hey,
Mhm.
I'm gonna
Oh yeah,
catch you backstage.
I don't think she was doing dressing like that for Usher. Like
Mm-hmm.
it happened. Like it was
Yeah.
just so happened, right? Also, like people have cell phones. I don't think she told. I don't. We don't know who that video came from. You know, we may or may not. I don't. You know, so like that angle looked like it was just an onlooker that actually posted it. Right? It didn't come from
Mm-hmm.
her account and stuff like that. So no, I'm not blaming her for any of that. But in and of itself, you know, clearly her dude got a problem with what she had on. Now, whether he expressed that
Clearly.
before she left, whether he's, you know, saw it, I don't know. I don't know those details, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when we come to Jonah, what I do have a problem with is a lack of same energy. You see what I'm saying? Because in both these scenarios, we started defending her, right? It's like the woman in both scenarios is getting defended and then the dude is getting blasted, right? Now in the first case, we had the dude posted on social media and it was um you know, a whole thing. And then the next time it was her posting on social media and we didn't say, "Oh, you should keep that private, blah 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 blah." We went to, "Oh, he's abusive. That's sounding abusive. He's controlling." You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And so it just lends itself like, okay, so what are the boundaries? What are like what's the difference between setting boundaries and being controlling, right? Like were there demands or was he stating what he did or did not appreciate, like his deal breakers? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because we always say like we need to have these conversations. Okay, so we're having this conversation, and if I'm expressing to you, hey, I don't like these things. This is what I don't like. This is what triggers me. This is what makes me feel disrespected. Am I being controlling or am I communicating my feelings?
Right.
You see
And
what I'm saying?
I agree. For me, it's the latter, right? And I'm on record really like, if you find, whether it's in the beginning or along the journey, if you're in a position where someone is um, expressing something to you that you can't get with, then that's your opportunity to say, this is not for me, right? It appears that he gave her the opportunity, right? Like, this
Mm-hmm.
is what I like, this is what I don't like. And if it's not for you, it's kind of like no hard feelings, but
Mm-hmm.
go with God,
Yeah.
Crispy. Like, it really wasn't, it didn't
Right.
seem
And it,
like
yeah.
against her will. I'm standing up. So to me, we're getting into abuse. Did he take your phone and delete it for you
Mm-hmm.
and throw the phone at you? Was he standing
Mm-hmm.
over you yelling and screaming, you better delete this right now? Like, were
Right.
you under duress? Were you, that type of thing? But a statement or a text, and again, we don't have all of the details, but from what I read, I didn't get abuse from it. I got,
Mm-hmm.
again, yes, he's drawing the line, whether we agree with it or not. Um, and she obviously chose to follow some of it. She had started to delete some of the tweets because some of the back and forth in the text was like, okay, I got rid of this or I got rid of that. And he's like, yep, that's only kind of half the battle, if you will. Like, these are
Mm-hmm.
some other things, in terms of who she was keeping company with, so on and so forth. And so, perhaps that would have been the moment to say, okay, that's too
Mm-hmm.
far for me and I'm out. I don't know what ultimately caused them to split, but
Mm-hmm.
at this point, they've been beyond each other for a long time. And so I'm just wondering, if it was the whole thing with Kiki or what made this come up.
Right.
And so she mentioned something about sharing it. She decided to share the feelings because you know, it helped her to heal, and keeping quiet had caused damage to her mental health. So, what do you think about that? And I see some comments I'm gonna share.
Yeah, like, one, how does airing this out a year later to the public help you heal? I don't understand what's healing about that, right? Oh, let me expose him for what I'm trying to create him to be, because I'm not buying it personally, you know. So it's like I'm healing by hurting or attempting to hurt, you know. And part of me is like, not only is he expressing what he's expressing for his personal preference or standard, but there's also a brand to protect, right? He's not a
Mm-hmm.
nobody. You know what I mean? And so once, like, you're publicly dating somebody, like, hey, this, oh, Jonah, I saw your girl hugged up with blah blah with Bodie at the beach. You know, for those of y'all know Bodie, that's from Point Break. Shout out, R.I.P.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Swayze. But like, he's seeing things, and he's not gotten where he has in his career by associating himself with certain crowds or certain groups. Now, it may be that I'm speculating. I don't know his thought process, you know. And I think we've been doing that, and that's what that post meant a while ago when I said people want to add all this extra seasoning to scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've been, folks, oh well, uh Darius didn't, he was doing this because of this. Like, that's not what he said. Oh, Jonah's this. Like, we keep adding thoughts and feelings to people that they haven't expressed,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I think largely we do that to fit our own narrative, and a lot of people are adding. I think people are upset or reacting to what they would or would not want to happen for themselves. You
Oh
see what I'm
boy, this has entered the chat. I don't
saying?
I don't know anything about this. Is this okay? I was like, is this new? Is this news? I'll have to do some
Uh-huh.
fact checking. Well,
Okay. Yeah.
allegedly, until
Right.
we're clear on that.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about Jonah Hill, so
But even okay, so we'll take something like that, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
while that's not the story right now, and I'm not saying that Dave is doing this, but there will be people that say, "Oh, he assaulted a minor, so yeah, he's abusing her," or
Oh, it
you know,
dropped today. Okay, I was like, I've never heard of that. I mean, that didn't mean it wasn't true, but I'm like,
right,
what?
yeah.
Okay,
So
go ahead,
now, watch.
finish your.
Yeah, so this will get connected. I guarantee this will get connected to the girlfriend situation, and all of a sudden it's a, see, I told you he's abusive and blah blah. Like,
Okay, I do see it.
mhm,
Zoe 101 star Alexa Nicholas
mhm.
says an adult Jonah Hill assaulted her when she was 16 and allegedly kissed her without consent.
How old is she now?
Good question. Let's look that up. What's her name again? Alexa Nicholas. We should probably ask Alexa. She gonna try to jump in our
Right.
conversation.
Her name was
Let's see.
Alexa Nicholas.
Mm-hmm. She's 31 years old now.
See,
Don't do it. Don't do it. We'll get canceled before we get out the gate. Let me just say,
I didn't say it. I didn't
I'm
say it.
trying. We trying to build some traction.
I
We're not
didn't.
trying to
I
get
didn't say anything.
okay. I'll just like
I
your
just wanted
head
to know.
cocked, your face.
I just wanted to know how long ago it happened. That's all.
Yeah. And it's a brief laugh. However, it's very serious. And I will say, there are people who have been assaulted, men and women, that will never say anything for that reason, right? Like,
Mhm.
one, people are not going to believe me. Two, so much time has passed. It'll be like, why now? For some people, they've repressed things that, they don't even remember until something triggers. Like, I've heard of those types of things. So, we do want to be sensitive because I don't know who might be watching this in that particular situation, but you do know that question comes up, right? Like, it comes up in the court of public opinion. Why did this person wait for so long? Or what do they have to gain from saying this now, and particularly because, he's kind of like news right now. So those are the things that are, being said, and that get said anytime something like this comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Statute of limitations applies, not opportunity.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've seen it,
Mm-hmm. And we've seen it both ways, right? Like we've seen things like this come out and, there's evidence and proof. And then we've seen things like this come out and then it's like, oh yeah, never mind. We didn't mean that. Because, there were lies. So the only thing I can say with regard to that is that, I hope that the truth comes out, whatever that is. And if consequences are necessary, then, that goes forward.
I will say that this is what I do hate in this cancel culture that we live in, and just with news in general, that it's never about facts, it's always about firsts, right? And whether something is true or not, we can say allegedly all we want, but once the story is put out there, it's got legs, right? And it's always playing catch up, especially if it's not true. And even when it's found to not be true, the damage is done. Let's look at Jonathan Majors.
Like you can't go back.
You see what I'm saying? So come to find out, he didn't do it, and it was her, and it cost him millions, and still damaged his reputation greatly. Lost work and opportunities and branding opportunities. Like, because at the time he's on top of the world. How many movies did he have? He just did Creed 3, and
he had 3 back to back at least.
He had Ant-Man, Creed 3, and then Devotion. Like, boom, 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 and then had the cover of what was that? Was it Essence or Ebony? That he did?
Essence.
Right. So Essence. And then that was a big thing going, like, he had it clicking.
Yeah, he was on all the daytime shows. Every time I turned on YouTube, it was somebody interviewing.
And then all of a sudden, all that momentum
squash
because of a lie. You know what I mean? And so I'm not saying that against victims. I am saying that this type of behavior from people that are lying to destroy are truly affecting those who are really victims. Of assault. And so when you lie, it makes the world skeptical, and then we're like, oh, you got to believe people. I'm like, it's hard to when we've seen so many lies. And so it's kind of like you got to sit back and wait for the truth. That's not even what we're talking about, but
I know. I was gonna ask what you were saying before that. We kind of deviated a little bit. We're asking, like, how does that help one heal? And so the question that I had even before that was just like, why are people, celebrities or not, because we see this from regular folks too, like, why do you air out like personal conversations? Right? Like, if somebody caught you on the street yelling and screaming at each other and they filmed it, that might be one thing because you subjected the public to it by yelling on the street. But like, why are you taking, screenshots of your conversations and putting them on the internet? And to your point, is that healing? So for those of you who are watching us right now, or maybe watching us a little later, is that something that you understand, something that you may have done? Help us out here, because I don't get it. Perhaps taking it to my therapist if I feel like, I really need, some support on my healing journey in that way. I might share it with that person or with you, right? Like, if I'm talking to you, like, can you help me to understand why he would say this or what I should do? But like throwing it on the internet, I don't know about that.
Yeah. And Lord knows I got receipts upon receipts that I can throw.
Yeah. Right. And if you want to be on a healing journey, a lot of people would be in trouble. Bars' healing journey is taking everybody down.
listen, if I would have to do a documentary or put all that in the book. So Dre, she's seen it all. Like she's been seeing it for the past 20 plus years. For one.
Y'all spare me, please.
No
one loves me.
But at the same time, again, I'm about that same energy, and I keep certain receipts for. I don't keep it for healing, but for vindication. A lot of times where it might be, oh well, Bars did this, da da da. Oh, did I? Oh,
let me.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Or men be this and women don't. Oh, really? Matter of fact, like the screenshot that I just sent you a couple of days ago. With the, are you listen? Had a woman slide in the DMs the other day, like, hey, let me get your number, send me a pic, blah 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 blah. Days later,
I told him he didn't move fast enough.
Yeah, listen, days later, it's this post with her and her new boo, blah blah blah, professing all her. I was like, you was literally just in my DMs. Like
a minute.
Yeah. So Dre was like, yeah, you didn't move fast enough.
Unless she sent that text to multiple people. She was trying to hedge her bets.
She probably did. And the crazy part was, I don't even know if she watches the show. It's on my page and she follows me, but I don't care if she sees it now.
Hey girl.
But the crazy part is I saw her message and she said, like, hey, like you called my or something like that. Are you single? That was the second thing she said. And then she unsent it, thinking that I didn't see it. And so then she started asking all these other questions, and then asked, was I single again? But you was on it from when you first slid, And I mean, and hey,
I don't want to waste my time. Are you with somebody or not?
If you shoot your shot, shoot your shot. Shoot or shoot. It's all good. But I'm like, if you own that same thing that dudes be like, what they say, take me out the rotation. Listen, get it how you get it, but I just find it odd if a dude did the same thing, we'd be thirsty.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I want to throw Jeff's comment back up just so that we can give it some sound. So we're asking our audience, our roadies and road dogs, like, do you think it's normal? Is this something that you have done in terms of being on a healing journey? And he said, not at all. Healing is wishing them well from afar and deleting all their text threads and blocking their number. That is definitely one way to do it. I mean, I haven't deleted all text threads for the same reason that Barzini just mentioned. And I think I'm far from anybody trying to accuse me of anything or say anything, but I'm just the screenshot queen, the receipts queen. And so we can go back if we need to. But absolutely, if you don't want to be involved with somebody, you want to be like the furthest away from them that you can. Blocking is definitely one of those things that will take them out of your orbit and vice versa. I would imagine putting that type of stuff on the internet, whether as a regular person or as a celebrity or somebody linked to a celebrity, especially, like, wouldn't that continue to bring stuff up? Like, it's not, if after a year you're not over it, it's definitely not going to help you get over it. It's just,
and it wasn't like it wasn't like she was sitting a year not reading them texts. I'm pretty certain she was, if she knew exactly which ones to post. And it's like,
maybe she loved him and she misses him. And this isn't the way,
right?
But I mean, just like, maybe she's mourning the relationship. Like, I didn't want to have to do these things to stay with you, but I wanted to otherwise be with you.
But here's the troubling part, right? We're posting texts and you're talking about, like, these are the particular texts that you want to post for you to heal because you want to show him a certain light.
Yeah.
Did he ever text you, I love you? Did he ever text you any affirming things? Did you post the ones when he said be ready at 8? Did you post the ones when y'all was taking a trip together? Did you post? You see what I'm saying? It's like, let me find specific ones to curate the narrative that I want to create, because that's literally what you're doing, right? You didn't just go randomly, I'm gonna just pick any old text and no, right? And over a year, how many texts have you sent over a year and you went and scrolled or searched to find? So that, because the thing is, you either scrolled or you searched. And if you searched, you knew specifically what he said because you remember what he said to be able to search it.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So you were very intentional about what you wanted to post. You know what I mean? And then probably cropped it out because there could be some before or after. You know, it was very intentional. Like you're trying to hurt him. You know, his reputation, his career, whatever it is, for your healing or for your 15 minutes of fame or whatever it is. You know, that your agenda is. I just don't personally, and I'm not gonna. Yes, I am. That's not healing. You ain't healing from that. That isn't like knock it off. You know what I'm saying?
Knock it off.
Right.
Mm.
So, and I know there's people that'll go after relationship and go talk to anybody who will listen about how much of a bastard somebody was. You know, because I was that bastard that I've had somebody, and I'm like, oh, for real? Well, how about
what you didn't know
what you didn't know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just don't. But yeah, y'all, please in the comments, what are boundaries and what is controlling? That's what we really want to kind of get in the bottom of it. What's controlling versus having a standard or a deal breaker? You know, because it's, I don't know, it's just kind of crazy right now. And you have what's the young lady's name with she's at the Vitiligo, Kyle Kuzma. She's with Kyle Kuzma.
Oh yeah, Winnie Harlow.
Harlow, right? She went to go see Usher, and who else was it? Who else was there? It was Sweetie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. So now ain't nobody fooling with Usher no more, apparently, because there's been
hilarious.
Been two more celebrity sightings at the Usher concert where he went to go serenade him, and it was like, nah. When he got up and sat on her dude's lap, you know.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy part, ladies, help me out. Why does everything got to be a dude's fault or something wrong with him? So, like, here's the thing. Kiki shows her ass to the world. Her dude don't like it. He said something. He's the problem, right? Because he said it publicly. Jonah expressed what he didn't like from his girl, but he said it privately. She aired it out. Jonah's the problem, right? Usher goes up to Winnie Harlow. Kyle Kuzma sitting there minding his business. He says nothing. He does nothing. She gets up and sits on his lap, and they start calling him insecure or dudes. And now dudes is insecure. And if we have to have our women do it, he was minding his own business. And then I even saw another post comparing his money to Usher's money. Like, if you think Kyle Kuzma got more money, like, what does that got to do with it? First of all, he just signed a $90 million contract for 4 years. Usher's worth 180, but that's over, you know, took a career to a match that he about to make half of that in 4 years, not including the contract that he already had from his rookie deal up to now. So 90 mil is not, you know.
Ain't nothing to sneeze at. That's
exactly. And another thing, right? Now that I'm on money, how we was going around, not we, but people was going around with the Kiki situation. Oh, he tripping because he living off of her and he broke and she's the breadwinner.
Because people said she jumped in his lap because she wasn't gonna mess up her meal ticket.
Listen, and I'm not mad at her, but Darius is not, from what I saw, is not a broke dude. Like, he works as a personal trainer, but he worth $500,000.
Yeah, so, no, he's not broke. I did
right.
see.
Now, when you take away, okay, celebrities make millions, but to the average person that's calling him broke, he's got more money than you.
Then that's true.
As a personal trainer, like, if you got $500,000 chilling right now, whether liquid or in your account or your 401k, okay, cool, more power to you. Most of you don't. So please knock that off with, oh, he's broke and she the breadwinner. So hey, now and then keep that same energy, because if she the breadwinner, and you listen, you know what happens when I drink. So like, she gets to do whatever she wants because she's the breadwinner, but yet you want dudes out here paying all your bills and being the breadwinner. So does that mean he get to go do whatever he want to do? Then talking about, oh, you single until you married, which we only say when we're trying to defend what the hell she's doing. So he's single too. Now, if there was a report, oh, Darius gets caught with other woman, y'all would be dragging him.
He's gonna get dragged no matter what. It's
not one of
unfortunate.
you will be like, oh, well, he's single. Like, I don't know. I'm off topic, but damn it. I've been seeing it. I'm tired of seeing it. It's,
I know. If you haven't seen Usher yet, you probably gonna pay an arm and a leg. You better try to go midweek, do that Tuesday, Wednesday show. So I want to know. Make it.
I want to know from dudes. I'm probably gonna post this tomorrow. I want to know. And Jeff, you can answer this too. Men only see is broke when he makes less than a woman. Nick Cannon was seen as broke when he was married to Mariah. I mean, shit, Mariah rich off of one song, actually. I mean, if she never recorded again, that Christmas song made what?
It's probably still making.
Yeah, that's what the biggest selling Christmas song ever.
Mm-hmm. That's probably gonna start hitting the airwaves in a couple of months.
Because that's look, she about to take over the Temptations starting Christmas off. Because we always say it ain't Christmas time till you hear
around October. You get,
in my mind.
Yeah, they don't come until after Thanksgiving, but Mariah is firmly, I think, like right after Halloween. She pops right on up. So
yeah.
So
I know she makes
8 figures a year off that song. Goodness gracious.
Let me go get back in the studio.
I was like, we need to figure our lives out. We might do some little short shows. A hot 30 minutes, just build up some more content.
But the thing is, the same thing in the internet age that can be.
Or is it 7? Look, 7 or 8. That is pretty doggone
more
amazing.
Than 5. Yeah. But like, you got folks that get famous and rich on accident. It's just like a moment or whatever. Like Lil Nas X, he made a song and then it just happened to go viral and it happened to be heard by Billy Ray Cyrus, and then all of a sudden he giving Satan lap dances on YouTube. You didn't see that video?
I did, but I prefer not to remember. So y'all, let's get back to these rules or boundaries, right? So a lot of things, even with the Kiki situation, even with the Jonah Hill situation, do you think that both things happened because there wasn't clear communication early enough? Because even, with her wearing the dress or spinning around or whatever things, that she did, even him addressing her in public, were those, rules or boundaries that were set ahead of time? Hey, when we are in any type of conflict, I prefer that we keep everything in-house. Or do you think they never addressed it and that's why things kind of played out the way that they did? Even with Jonah Hill, it looks like he's telling her, hey, these are the things, this laundry list of things. But is this something that wasn't communicated before? I would say perhaps not, because she was already posting images of herself in swimwear, surfing with other surfers prior to. And some of her communication online said, he hopped in her DMs as a result of seeing some of these photos. So do you think, okay, this is what got you, but now you want to shut down, what I do because you're here? Is that right? Or is that it's just what it is because, these are now the boundaries that have been set up?
Okay. I'm of a double mind on that, right? Now, logically, it's like, hey, she was doing this. This is what got your attention. That's an argument, right? But also, it can be argued that, yes, it got my attention, but you continuing to do that is also getting other men's attention when you have already committed to me, right? So there are things that, even if we take the sexual innuendo or sexy dress out of the equation, right? There are still things that you do as a single woman that you don't do as a woman in a relationship or married, to get the attention of men, right? So when you flirting, or trying to get the attention of men, doing the little sachet that y'all do so he can see you, blah 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 blah, right? So let's just say that can be harmless sashaying. You do walking back and forth so until he take notice, right?
All right.
Now you got him. Now he's seen you walking back and forth. He probably was like, hey, you gonna keep walking or you gonna come over here and let me talk to you, blah blah blah, right? You did what you did. You got his attention. Okay, so now you in this relationship with him. Let's say y'all are out. Are you gonna go sashaying back and forth for men to see you, regardless of how you dressed, right? No, you stop that behavior because you got
the attention.
You got the attention. Exactly. So I think we all want attention. I think we all enjoy attention, but I think it's the kind of attention that you draw to yourself that's going to cause problems.
Okay, I agree, and I think there's also perhaps a misconception of what is done to gain attention. So yeah, if I'm sashaying back and forth to get your attention, but what I have on while I'm sashaying, that's just how I dress. So you might look at it as, you wore that, tight red dress to get my attention. I was like, no, I wear tight red dresses or black or whatever dresses all the time. I just happen to, in that dress, keep walking back and forth because I wanted to talk to you that day. I think sometimes, men think like, oh, you're doing this for attention or for a man's attention. And again, like, we're not necessarily doing it that way. For some people, this is what makes them feel good. To be able to even wear that kind of dress after you've had a baby. And again, that's not something I would have done, nor is it something that I would feel comfortable doing if I could do it. Right. But I'm just saying, like, I didn't necessarily get the feeling that this was to spike the relationship. And if they had not had that kind of conversation about, hey, Kiki, this doesn't make me feel secure, or I just don't like it, how is she supposed to know? And then it just feels a way to have, this whole like, oh, you're just trying to get attention hung on you if that wasn't necessarily, the intent.
I get you now, and I'll raise you this question.
All right. Go on.
Matter of fact, I was pulling up today in the parking lot, and there was some young cat in the parking structure with no shirt on, with some shades on, like just standing out there like on the phone. I'm in Houston. It's 300.
You burn it up.
It's 300 degrees out here. And AC is standard out here, right? You don't build a house or an apartment without central air out here. It's not a thing, right? So I'm sitting there like, so two questions raised in my head. I'm like, one, like, bro, who you posing for? Because you're clearly posing. When I'm telling you, and it wasn't even just like regular shades, it was like some like fancy designer shades or whatever. And he got like his leg up and like, so I had pulled around. He couldn't see who's in the car, but car goes by, he looks up. I'm like, oh, you trying to be seen? It's like, wrong one, guys. I'm a guy, but I mean, he could, who knows who he's trying to get the attention for, but he's clearly posing. Then I asked myself, like, did I ever do that when I was young? And I probably have. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So my question would be this, right? If in my younger years, let's say I'm out here in some gray sweats with no shirt on and I'm oiled up and I'm been to the gym, blah, 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 right? As a dude, do I get to say, oh, I just do that because it makes me feel good? Like, no, dudes don't do that for like work.
But that's true. Right? But you don't do that. So if that's not your normal.
No. But the question is, I can say it's my normal, regardless of the purpose. Let's say it's my normal, right? Okay. I do this. You do it because you want to feel good. I do it because, actually, I'm doing it to feel good too. But attention makes me feel good, right? So we together now. I'm oiling up. Are you continuing to watch your show, or are you finna be like, where you going? Gray sets and matter of fact, I might be like, hey, hit my back for me real quick. Right? Yeah.
That's just like y'all in the haircuts. You in the house, then you get your haircut, then you got
you see how that fresh errands. You
You
see what I'm
got to
saying?
run. Yeah.
Exactly. So the thing is, we might have different purposes, but if it's our normal, does that mean we continue to do it just because we've always done it? Or
Not if within the context of your relationship it's been expressed like this makes me feel away. I'm just saying, and Ms. Jones, I'm going to bring her comment back up, right? I don't think many folks in relationships have that ongoing conversation about boundaries until something happens where it needs to be addressed. And I wholeheartedly agree. Which is one reason, shameless plug, you should watch this show with whoever you're with or whoever you might want to be with and find out what their viewpoints are ahead of time.
Mhm.
Don't wait. Okay. Have these kinds of conversations. There's so many of these games now, little card games you can play. You can find, a grip of questions on Google, or again, you can go through some of these episodes and say, hey, what's your viewpoint? I actually have a couple sores who watch the show with their husbands and they like get into spirited debates about the things that we talk about. Yeah. So I think, that's healthy, because if you wait, depending on what it is, and you really hurt somebody's feelings and then it turns into a big thing that it didn't have to be. Another thing, and I was thinking about this earlier today. I was like, there's just some things that I don't need to be told. And I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if it's thinking about, oh, if the shoe was on the other foot, I'd try to do that as often as possible. But I'm just like, you don't have to tell me not to go outside with my butt out. Right. And I'm, on a particular fitness journey, and I'm excited for the day that, I can, be cheeks out but, within the confines of here. Right. Or like little baby cheek or something, I'm getting there. But yeah, you're not going to catch me, out at the community pool bent over in front of a bunch of dudes talking about, I feel good in my skin. Like, I don't need somebody to tell me not to do that. It's just dangerous to do those kinds of things, but also, yeah, for what? Now, if I'm, in some sort of fitness competition, that might be a thing, right? Like get my body together so I can get my little bikini on and be out there. That might be a thing. I don't know. But otherwise, I just don't. I don't feel it necessary. I think I've talked about this before on the show. About the fact that hashtag Boo and I are very different when it comes to social media, right? So I pretty much live
the equivalent
mostly
of ass out.
No. I feel I'm very live my life on Facebook. Not a lot, not everything, but even doing this show and talking about, different things that have happened in my life. I post my businesses on there. I tweet. I do, you kind of get what I'm thinking and feeling at any given time. My family, there's photos, there's all kind of stuff. He's not that. He's like memes, retweets, posts, yo stuff, but you're not really going to find him, on the internet.
I'm talking about what he posts.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about because I'm getting into boundaries. So it's more so for him to say to me, you feel free. If that's what you would like to do. I'm not telling you not to do that. I'm just asking that I'm not a part of that, because this is how I feel about my image and blah, blah, blah being on the internet. It's for me. I was like, I didn't understand, but you don't have to understand. Right. That's the boundary. Right. And so if I do post pictures, I make sure, like, is it cool? We have a wedding photo up there. Anybody that's, saw us get married or something like that. Like, there's specific stuff. When we got engaged, he posted. I was shocked, but he was the first one to actually post. So he will, but just honoring the fact that we're not the same in that regard, and not just assuming because it's okay for me that I'm gonna just add him to that. And so I think that may be the difference for some people. It's like, just because it's not for him, he doesn't squash that for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's very supportive, even with this, like, what can I do? Sends us stories. He's, trying to make sure the setup is together. So he's very supportive in that manner. But if he ever passes through here, he's probably gonna
Yeah.
have something
I'm
on
always
his
right.
face.
Yeah,
Like,
we've seen a shadow a couple of times, but so here's the crazy part, and I don't understand why people like one. Social media is not always real life. You see what I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
Um, and so to your point, it's like, hey, he allows you to be who you are on social media, and his ask is like, hey, this is who I am, and this is what I don't do on social media, and respect that. But then you have so many that's like, oh, well, how come your dude don't post you? How come they don't post you? And if you can't post it, it ain't real. And they post it profess and da. It's like, wait. Like, can these people, like, for me, when I'm in relationships, I don't really do that.
mm-hmm,
I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, but it's just not, I keep my relationships very separate, or people don't know when I'm dating, who I'm dating, yada yada yada, until I decide to make it known, right? Because I just don't like what comes with it, the attention negatively that comes with it, right? So it's kind of like if you're trying to keep women away or blah 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 blah, the last thing you want to do is blah, right? And so like
mm-hmm.
I had one relationship, she's like, I'm just trying to serve these bitches notice. Okay. And they take that as a challenge, right? So
Yeah.
soon as my relationship status changed, oh, oh, who done locked you down? And now game on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because out there, like, women do not want a man that no other woman wants,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I don't know what it is. I'm not a woman, but I figure, is it subconsciously like, if no other woman wants him, then something must be wrong with him. Why do I want something that don't nobody else want? Right? These used or
Mm.
damaged goods. But now that he's you in the okay, bet.
Yeah. And
Bypass.
I don't know if it's necessarily you want somebody that another woman wants as much as you get a chance to actually see it in action, right?
Same,
So
same
if
difference.
even with the well, I'm just saying that
Yeah. The
because
reasoning.
conversely it would be saying if you didn't somebody that was single for X amount of time, they would never get nobody, and that's not
Yeah.
necessarily true.
Hmm.
So I was just making that distinction. But I think when you see someone that is showing appreciation for the person that they're with, and you see kind of them living their lives, so on and so forth. There are some people who start in it's a fairy tale situation, and instead of thinking this is what I want for myself with somebody else, they're like, this is what I want
I
with
want
you.
because it's like it's tried and true. Like, hey, I go over here to this single dude that ain't with nobody, and I ain't seen it in action. I'm just hoping that he would do these things that
Hmm.
I'm seeing. I know you do these things that I'm seeing because
Yeah.
I'm seeing you do it, right?
Yeah, but also you could
But
turn
you don't
around and
know.
get fooled. He might not
But
do it
the
with
camera,
you.
yeah, the camera gets turned on, and so that's another thing that people have to realize is like, just because somebody is great in this one relationship and it didn't work out and then they get with you, doesn't mean they're gonna be great with you. Doesn't mean they're gonna do the same things with you, because it could be things about that person that brought that part of him or her
Yeah,
out, right?
right.
Now, conversely, we think that just because somebody was horrible with you, that they're gonna be horrible with everybody, or they just no, that was horrible with you. Because
Hmm.
and when y'all break up, you sitting there praying on his demise or her demise, and you want to see that, oh, you gonna pay for it and you ain't gonna never be happy. No, this person can actually go into another relationship and be perfectly happy, right?
Hmm.
They could have did you wrong, cheated on you, and everything else, and then go over here and they're fine and faithful,
Right,
right?
right.
And that's just the nature of it, right? Because their happiness or prosperity is not predicated on your forgiveness.
Hmm.
It's just not. You see what I'm saying? And everybody has a story to tell. So you're telling your story and your version of the story, but they got one too. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So this says
Hey,
late to the party.
JJ. Late to the party, but I feel like she should be able to feel excited and happy like everyone else in the room, I think she would have responded the same way no matter what she wore. Now, you know what? I actually believe that because Kiki is she's an extra type personality. And so whether she was covered from head to toe, she would have still, been given all that same energy. I do think that's true. I
Mhm.
personally wouldn't have done it, but that's just my personality. Although I completely understand it's part of the show. Yeah, I think there's a lot of us that was just like, I'm not in this
Yeah.
because I would never be in this.
But so
But we do have
I,
folks that are married and or in relationships that have been chiming in. So it would be good to know, what are some good relationship boundaries?
mhm.
Do we feel any kind of way about having boundaries or rules? I was talking to someone the other day that said, when her and her husband got married, or at least when they were dating, they decided, when we get married, if we go out alone on any night or whatever it is, we'll always be home by midnight. And so I'm assuming that worked for a while, and now that's not working for one of the parties.
Mhm.
But that was a rule and or boundary. So is there something like that that, I mean, whether it's your relationship or not, you feel comfortable enough sharing it, that's great. Or just generally, what do you think about rules and boundaries, and what are some that you think are good ones that
Mhm.
would help preserve and sustain a relationship?
Yeah.
That's for my people in the crowd. But go ahead. You were saying something else, or perhaps you were saying something else.
I think I lost a thought, but I will say that we were talking about people going off being better. That's right, Jeff. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
are that bad today, and let us say you'll never find anybody better than me. I heard that from two different women that are very toxic. And I'm like, you're right. I've heard it
Oh, here
too.
we go. We have one. Acknowledge that both parties have double standards to some extent, therefore talk about them. That's good.
Hmm.
I just think so many things could be solved and or prevented by having conversations.
Hmm.
And I think we talked about this early in season one. And I wish I can remember the episode, but I think we were just talking about the fact that people get into relationships and even get married without having these conversations, whether you're afraid to have them, because what if we don't really think alike? And then what happens? And, I
Hmm.
really like them. I got the ring on my finger already. I want to go ahead and get married. And it's important to talk about these things. Even if you're not in agreement initially, it doesn't mean that you never will be. It doesn't mean that you can't compromise. It doesn't mean that you can't work it out. But I think it's worse to act like, it wouldn't be a
Hmm.
thing.
Right. I would say three things if I can remember all three. Um,
Mm-hmm. I like
assume
this
the
one too.
yeah, so yeah, because we'll get it right. Absolutely. I would say this: assume the best. Don't assume competence. And I forgot the third one. Because I was listening. But like when I say assume the best, somebody might do something that upsets you or something that you don't like or that crosses a boundary, right? And let's say
Mm-hmm.
this is the first time we're crossing this bridge. It was something that wasn't talked about. You didn't think to think it up, or it just happened, and you're like, you know what? Actually, I don't like that, right? Oh, the third one was don't make someone else's actions about you, right? Because we love to do that, you know. And so, like, okay, in the case of Kiki, oh, she was doing that to make her dude mad or whatever. Or
Mm-hmm.
she was wearing that for Usher, blah blah. We don't know that. Like, so don't add extra seasoning. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when I say assume the best, let's just say, hey, I've worn the cat suit before and that was okay. I thought that maybe this was okay as well, and I'm finding out that it's not, right? Instead of assuming that, oh, she for the streets, she blah 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 blah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
or assuming we like to do this thing where, like, if I'm Darius, oh, you was disrespecting me, blah 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 blah. I'm making what she's wearing about me versus, okay, I wore this thing and I'm finding out you don't like that, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm instead of like getting mad, let me provide an opportunity for you to correct.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or it's like we talk about it, and if you feel like, hey, my integrity as your man is not good enough to be able to preserve what I feel should be private between us, like your body, you know, um, then we probably need to explore other options, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think, you know, and the world gets a hold of it and starts adding stuff, you know, and that could be added, you know. So it's like, but before they were even able to get home to talk about it, the world has already seen it
Mm-hmm.
and added their commentary. So I'm wondering how that informs the exchange when she gets home. You see what I'm saying? And while the average person is not a celebrity, there's still things that go viral or get captured. I remember when I had visited LA and I went to lunch, um, or early dinner, went to happy hour. It was with a friend of mine, lady friend, and we just cool. We sitting there chilling, having drinks, laughing, catching up. She gets a text message of a picture of she and I sitting there at the bar, you know, from her dude. And it's like, oh, she was like, that's bars, like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's like we don't know who's there, we don't know who took the picture. You know, clearly they was at the bar because they took it at the bar and then sent it, and you know, it's all this other stuff. So like, even as an average Joe, you know, you can be out there getting photographed and captured or videoed, and it's being sent and all this other stuff.
Yeah,
So, um, yeah, paparazzi's everywhere.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you. I love the rules that you shared. Ms. Jones shared some in the comments. I was trying to think, about something that you guys had not said. And I think, I mentioned it before. It's just, considering your partner as your partner, like even when you're angry, right? Like you're not my opponent. And I think that has been like the biggest thing for me because in previous relationships, when, the anger gets heightened or the emotion gets heightened, it don't really matter who you are on the other side. We would go, and I that's not the way that I choose to operate anymore. Period in life, but definitely with someone that you consider to be, your husband, your wife, your life partner, significant other, like continuing to see them in a loving manner. Like you did something that I didn't like, or I did something that you didn't like, but I'm not that thing and you're not that thing. And I think that helps, to have the kind of conversations that you need to have to get to resolution, provided it's something that can be
Yeah.
resolved. Because I think something like this, wearing a bathing suit and posting it, especially if that's your profession, or going to a concert or girls' night and just being a little extra with your outfit. Those are things that can be
Mhm.
discussed. But once we start going at each other in a way that it's not conducive to solution, that's when it starts getting crazy, right? So yeah, I'm talking to you out the side of my neck, you putting stuff on the internet, all of these kinds of things. What was smaller, becomes a very big thing. So I think that's important to note
Yeah.
as well. And I think, before we wrap up, we also talked about the fact that sometimes people think it matters if you're married or not, right? Like if you're married, these rules may apply to you. If you're not married, I'm still me. I can do me. And the rules don't apply to me.
That's some
So
of
how do you feel about that?
that's some of the dumbest shit ever. Stuff, you know. I'm sorry. Like, you see what happens when that crown get up in me. Like, okay, ladies, I'm gonna look dead at the camera when I say this.
Hmm.
Why give him life benefits when you're still a girlfriend? Because two reasons. One, you will never be a wife if you don't show him what kind of wife you are. Two, wife is not something you become, it is something you are. Right? Now, yes, it goes both ways for the husband. Like, we get it. Yes, it goes both ways. But you know,
Same
we don't the
energy.
same energy, but we don't be using it as a defense. Oh, don't be like how many times have you heard a dude say, "Hey, don't be giving husband privileges when you just a boyfriend until she make you a husband. Don't be
Yeah.
don't be paying for stuff. Don't be taking her out. Don't be pulling out her chairs. Don't be protecting her." Right? You women want husband behavior at hello, right?
Mm-hmm.
At hello. You want him planning, you want him calling, you want him paying, you want him protecting, all of these things. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if you express a problem to him, it ain't just in conversation. You are expecting him to jump into action. You want him
Mm-hmm.
pumping your gas. If he at your house, you want him taking out the trash. Y'all ain't married, but you want him to do if he's in your house, blah 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 blah. And then if he's there for a while, oh, he need to be picking up a bill and figuring out what need to be and some all of this stuff, right? That's
Yeah.
husband behavior. And yet you always expect to sit back if right. And here's the problem. There's no guarantee that your wife behavior is the wife behavior we want. You
That's true.
assume that you just finna be on point, right? Oh, okay, now that I'm a wife, let me do all this stuff. You might do it, and we like, huh? Like this is what I waited for and paid for and did all this. You know how many tanks of gas I done pumped for this?
Ah!
You know, I done
My
pumped
Lord.
293 full tanks of gas
Mm,
that and I paid for them too. You see what I'm saying?
my Lord. And the
And
way
so
gas is now, child.
right, and so it's all of this like wife is a mentality, not a title. And
Yeah.
it's always this if and then, and it's really just an excuse to not put forth effort, right? So all this, I'm single till I'm married. Cool. If that's the case, then you, when he goes out and does what he does, say nothing.
Mm,
Say you have no right to say anything. When he's not doing anything for you, he's single. He's not taking you out, he's single. He's not courting you, he's single.
my Lord.
He's not opening doors and somebody done disrespected you. He ain't do nothing. He's single. You not his girl. You not his
Yeah.
woman. You not his wife. Remember? Same energy. So don't use that as an excuse to just behave in the way that you want to behave. Behave how you gonna behave, and either he rocks with it or don't. But don't use that that's I'm not his wife. Okay, and you never will be, right?
Mm,
Or anyone's wife for that matter, if that's the mentality that you carry into it. And if you happen to make it, it ain't, I pray it lasts, but I don't see it lasting long because that's such a selfish mentality. Like it's
yeah.
about partnership. You know what I mean? And so the same thing that you expect, you have to exhibit. You feel me?
That's it. That's it.
Like,
Oh, I love it.
period.
Expect
From
and
the
exhibit.
from the jump. So if you expecting husband behavior from hello. As a matter of fact, I had a woman tell me she was a wife on our first date because we were talking about dating and everything else, and she had gotten out of a relationship. We was like just kicking and being cool at first, and she was like, "Yeah, my family's encouraging me to just like get out here and date." I was actually, that's good advice, actually. You know what I'm saying? Like, you out of something. She had gotten divorced or whatever. Like, go out there, like, see what's out there. And she was like, "I just don't rock like that." She's like, "I'm a wife." And so when we were kicking it and hanging out, the way that she behaved was that of a, like, she did what wives do, like the way
Mm,
that she carried herself, the way that she conducted herself, and I can 100% say that, you know.
mm-hmm.
And some things happened between us that didn't really just a lot of it was just timing, and we kind of wanted different things at different times. So I don't have any. I mean, everybody's got their things, but overall, as a woman and how she was with me, I have zero complaints.
Mm-hmm.
About that. And so she didn't do those things that she did weren't
Is
contingent
she a wife
upon.
now?
No, she's still single. Well, I think so. I don't know. I ain't asked her, but we're still cool. But I'll say this: it's
Was this a long time
well,
ago? Has
well,
enough time passed that she could have been somebody's wife?
listen, the way folks move nowadays, you never know.
I'm
But
just wondering how leading out the gate with that, has that served or not? 'Cause I
Well,
think we
it was,
definitely have
but
talked
it
about
was,
that as well.
yeah, it was, but it was in the context of a conversation. She wasn't like branding herself like, hey, and she wasn't saying I expect this because I'm a wife.
No,
She,
no, I
yeah,
didn't. I
no,
didn't.
no, not
Nothing
for you.
extra
I was,
on it.
yeah, yeah,
Just
she,
the
yeah.
baseline of what she said. As I guess it matters in the context you are having a conversation, but just on the first date, hearing those words, I
Mhm.
wonder, kind of what that feels like to, men, and does it make you feel any particular way?
I would, you know what? I would say it made me, when she said it, I was like, okay, like I've heard it before, so I didn't
Right.
respond. I was like, okay, I mean, I've heard that
So is
before.
everybody.
Yeah, and it wasn't so much like the I don't believe you. It was just like, okay, like,
Yeah.
kind of cliche, but then she showed me, right? Like she never said those words again. I don't even know she remembered saying it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but it showed up. And then I was like, oh, she's a wife, you know.
Well, God
So
bless. I hope that she is or is on her way, since that was her desire. I agree. I don't know about having to say those words, but
mhm,
it definitely is in the action, and those things don't just turn on after I do. There's so many other things that happen, in terms of, if you're not living together already, merging your space, and what's yours is mine and mine is yours, and oh, this is what you do, every day, this is what I do every day, and habits, and you like this, I mean, there's so many things that you are aligning or attempting to align. The last thing that you need to be working on is, you know um can I be trusted? Am I going to be out here, showing my butt, fidelity, all of those, like, that should just be a part of the deal, right? Even if we get down to cooking and all, whoever's the person in the kitchen, or if both of you are, like, you're not going to just start doing that, or at least you shouldn't expect to just start doing that on the other side
mhm.
of I do. I think where women get it twisted is, mm, um, giving all of that to people who have already shown that they either don't want it or aren't deserving. And so we say, things like, don't give away the milk for free, or the cat, whatever the thing is, right?
Mhm.
But it's not really about, not exhibiting that, but it's being reciprocal, right? So out the gate, that would not be the place that I choose to, like, throw everything great about me on the table. But if I start to see him show me things about himself that are in line with being a husband or a long-term mate, then I'm definitely going to be showing a little. So it's really about the nuances and a particular dance and flow that you might be in. But many women that I have seen that kind of just been in this cycle of, like, I've done all this and I've done it. I'm like, well, what does it look like on the other side? Right? Because one thing that I don't believe in is that you putting all your stuff out on the table is going to make somebody then do that. If that's not where they are, if they don't want to be with you like that, if all your good shining qualities is not enough for him to want to, he's not going to do it. And so
Mhm.
what we wind up doing is frustrating ourselves by giving more and more. Well, maybe if I keep doing it, maybe if I do it like this, maybe if I do it with my
But
legs
see,
up, maybe if I do
yeah,
like
I
it,
think, but
just
see, I think this. It's the problem with that is the intent, right? I prefer a woman that does what she does because that's what she does, not doing it for me. Now, I appreciate, things that she does for me, but like, let's just say, like, I love a woman
well,
that,
nobody does what they do. Like, I only do this in the context of being in a relationship. I'm not, there's certain things,
but
if I wasn't with my husband, I would not, there's
well,
no
I
need
mean,
for me to do
there's
it.
there's certain things, but what I mean, like, there's just okay, like for instance, like I was about to say, I appreciate a woman who fixes a plate for me, right? but I also appreciate a woman that just fixes plates. You see what I'm saying? Like one of my exes, she'll fix my homeboy's plate. I mean, she fixed my plate first,
Oh
but
yeah,
it's
no.
like, yeah, she's like, hey, no, like if you're there. She's like, hey, I am of service. I am like one of her love languages is acts of service. So
I can get with that.
yeah, so that's what
General
I'm
acts of
saying.
service.
Like
Yes.
that's who you are. I'm fixing your plate. Like yes, I care about you, but I'm fixing your plate because I fix plates. That's what I do, right?
Mm.
And so for me, like you know me, I have a super protective nature, if not over protective nature, right? Like whether it's my girl, my sister, my friends, I protect all of you, right? And I do that because I am protective. That's I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how not to be, right? So it ain't like, well, I ain't gonna start protecting you until you my wife, like hey, I'll put a ring on it, then I protect you. Like, no. You see what I'm saying? If you are in my company, you are under my protection.
Mm-hmm.
Period. That's just who I am. You see what I'm saying? It's not
Right.
something that I have to turn on or off. I don't know how it's who I am. So really feel like those are things and qualities that we need to look for in people. Like the things that you desire in a partner are things they do naturally, not trying to
Oh,
turn on or
absolutely.
off because, oh, well, we together now. Now I want you to start doing this. That's going to be hard to maintain. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Because now you're forcing yourself to do something that one, you don't do naturally, you likely don't even enjoy doing. You see what I'm saying? So, like for me, I'll say I love a woman who loves to cook. I'm not saying who loves to cook for me, who loves to cook. She's gonna cook regardless, whether she's with me, we break up, whether I'm there, whether I'm not there. She's cooking because that's what she does and she loves to do it. I know that's never gonna wear off,
Right.
right?
That's not what I wasn't saying the
Mhm.
opposite of that, but I absolutely agree
Mhm.
with
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying you were.
what
I'm
you
just
said.
saying, like, I was saying in addition to what you're saying. So yes,
Oh, okay.
there are certain things that yes we do in the confines of a relationship, like the obvious is sex or blah 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 blah. I mean, hell, there might be certain sexual acts that you only do once you're there. I know certain people save certain things. Okay, whatever, but um.
That was judgy. No, that was a little judgy, but
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
I'm like Lorenz. I'm Darius Love. He's like, we don't need to wait. I want mine now.
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
But I
Right.
mean, at the end of the day, to each their own. But like, y'all don't delude yourself and don't bullshit yourself by saying like all this cliche stuff is like, listen, really, you're just trying to protect yourself when you say that. Oh, don't give wife privileges or don't give her. Well, dudes don't really say that, but like, don't give these privileges to someone you're not with. It's just a defense mechanism, right? And there isn't enough defense in the world that can protect you from being hurt if you're going to be hurt. Because the more you give your heart to somebody, the more power they have to hurt you. And it's easier for them to hurt you even when they're not to, which is why I always tell someone with, I will never hurt you on purpose,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm going to hurt you. I'm certain of it. I'm going to do something that is
Yeah.
going to hurt you, that is going to upset you, that's going to whatever. It's inevitable, especially me being who I am. I'm going to say something and I'm going to say it a certain way. I'm,
You,
I, I know me. I know me. I'm listen, right? But it is not on purpose. It is not, I am not intentionally hurting you. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said
mm-hmm.
that the way I said it. I didn't mean it that way, actually. That's how you heard it. I apologize for saying that or not clarifying it or saying it the way that I said it. Whatever, right? But I think just the intentionality in a relationship is super, super important. And
Mm-hmm.
just like stop trying to the more you try to protect yourself from being hurt, the focus on hurt and the likelihood of you getting hurt just increases. Or you protect yourself so much that you never even get the opportunity to love or be loved because you can't listen, you can't love properly behind a wall. I'm sorry. You can't just, that's like, hey, here's my heart. Let me toss it over.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But I need you to toss it back or just throw pieces over there instead of like knocking the wall down and say, hey, here's the whole thing whole. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And somebody, like, you don't know if somebody's going to drop it or not. When you give someone your heart, you don't know that they're not going to drop it. You can only pray they don't, right?
Hope.
But you have to ask yourself this: is experiencing love worth that risk of giving someone your heart and trusting, not praying they don't, trust they won't? Because those are two different things, right? If you got to pray they won't, you don't trust they won't.
Right.
So if you trust that they won't do it and you give it to them, they still might. And maybe not on purpose, like things happen, life happens, but it's about, if that happens, are you strong enough and brave enough to pick it up, dust it off, and hand it to somebody else when it's time? So yeah, I think that suffices as my final thought.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of relationship rules and boundaries, if we consider ourselves actually being more free, right? Within our relationships, or relationships where we can actually trust one another. Like, I operate in free. I don't feel bound because I'm married. I don't feel unable to be myself. I actually feel more free to be myself in these years than I have in previous years. Right. And so I think, it's so funny because so many people say they want relationship or they want to be married, but they want it in a particular way. And honestly, and definitely if you look at it from a spiritual lens, if you're not spiritual, if you're not a believer, this might not make any sense to you and it may not matter. But when you consider actually becoming one with somebody, you can't do what you want to do and be who you used to be. And like, that is not a thing, right? It's both of you have to conform in some way to become one being, right? If I'm moving one way, he needs to move that way. If he's moving one way, I need to move one way. There is not this, I do whatever I want to do. I should be free to do blah, blah, blah. That's not how that's supposed to go. Now, if that is your relationship, cool. But as we are seeing in these internet streets, that's not everybody's relationship. Even if it's one person thinking like that, the other person is not with it, right? So identify like what works for you. I don't know how many times, we can say that, like, identify what works in your household, what works in your relationship, what works in your marriage, because that is what is most important. What I do in my house, what Bars does in his dating situation, like, it may not be for you, or vice versa. And I am definitely a fan of, if you can't fool with it, if somebody says, these are my non-negotiables, and you want to negotiate, then that might not be the person for you, right? I know it's tough out there in the streets and people really are trying to hold on to what they have, right? It's like, if I could just make him do this, or if I could just make her do that, then I'd be great. But the truth is, you can't make anybody do anything. And so only you can decide if it's something that you can fool with. But it's not fair to put labels on somebody and say, that they're abusive because they have a particular standard. If their standard is not your standard, then, you need to be about your business. So that's my thought. Yeah. That's where I am with it.
So y'all, as always, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Thanks for hanging in there with us tonight in this discussion. We want to keep the content coming. Please don't forget to scroll down if you haven't already and subscribe. Share the channel, share the show, share your thoughts. Have people come in and share their thoughts in the comments. We appreciate and love it all. And in closing, always remember, be free to be you. Unless you married or in a relationship and they don't.
I'm about to say, unless your partner say you can't.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all.
We love y'all.